Alright, so today we're going to take a look at a series of older and some vintage camcorders, starting in 2003 and going all the way back to the 1970s. I hesitated at camcorders because one of them actually isn't a camcorder, but you'll see that when we get there. So first off, we have the Sony DCR IP220. This is a micro MV camcorder from 2003. And when this was new, this cost around $2,000. You notice on the front it has Sonet and America Online. I'm sure most of you are familiar with America Online. It used to be an internet service provider, and now it's just an ad company. And Sonet, I believe, was kind of like Sony's internet. I don't know if it was an ISP or there something to do with internet access through Sony, I think. Anyway. These are on here for a reason. This camcorder actually has the ability to go online with through a Bluetooth connection. Notice the Bluetooth logo down there. Kind of an interesting feature to put in a camcorder. We'll talk more about that later. Well, let's open the box. Notice on the back we have some more information about it. Open up the box here. And inside we have camera and a bag. The power supply. The normal 3-pin connector. 1 pin on the bottom, 2 pins on the top. We've got USB cable, just the regular micro USB B to USB A. You have the AV cables. This is Sony's special connector. It also has S-video, by the way, too. I have some kind of bag that I guess the camera came in originally. Have tape, new tape, and a box for that tape. These are the micro MV tapes. They're 60 minutes. Look at specifications on the back there. We'll take a little bit closer look at these tapes in a bit. We have the remote. So you can control the camera from somewhere else in the room, especially if you're recording yourself. Might be useful. See if I can get it back in the box. And we have the instruction booklet. Nice thick one. Let's take a look at what's in here first. So I should raise the camera a bit here. Alright, so we've got the main user's manual for the digital video camera. And we also have the instructions for going online. Even that's a nice thick book. In there about how to use the browser and how to use the keyboard actually is what this page is about. This is a touchscreen, by the way. I believe you can send an email from this camera in addition to browsing the internet. Just different stuff about going online. I think that was about email there. Yeah, sending email. When was the last time you sent an email from your camcorder? An interesting feature to add in there. Have the the movie shaker manual. Originally this was the only software that would work with the micro MV format, because it doesn't record in the same way that the other tape format does. What do you call it? Mini DV. It doesn't record in the same way that the same format that Mini DV uses. So all of these standard video editing programs at the time couldn't handle micro MV because it was a different format. And Movie Shaker, which came with the camera, was the only software that could. So a little quick setup poster. The accessories you can spend more money on. Notes for Windows users. And then the software. So we have Movie Shaker for micro MV, which is still sealed, so I'm not quite sure how this person originally used the camera. And we also have this Pixel A image mixer. That one's been opened. So a quick look at that. And on the other side we have manual and another one of these pamphlets in a foreign language. Not quite sure what English is though. It's a nice thick user's manual as well. So all the different stuff about using the camera. This isn't supposed to be a review of this camera really. This is just a brief overview of each of the cameras I'm going to demonstrate. So let's get to the demonstrating. So this is the camera itself. Of course, the lithium F that it uses is long gone, so I'll have to plug in the power supply here. Just take a moment. So the little door here is open. Power supply plugs in behind this door. So that's where your AV cables plug in, and this is the jack for the power supply. So I plug it in the right way. And you'll see the light should come on for the charger. But it's only going to stay on for a few minutes and then it starts flashing because the battery is non-functional. Let's just take a little look at what we have on the outside. We have our night shot switch down here. Night shot, night framing, super night shot, fader, backlight, focus. This switch is for this ring here. This is a movable ring, and you can set it to either be, I guess this is set to, no, this is at the zoom. Set it in the middle. I guess that means this ring does nothing. And if you set it over here, then this ring is your manual focus. If you set it here, then this ring is your manual zoom. We have our left and right stereo microphones. Lots of stereo separation there. You can see that the charge light is flashing now since the battery is not taking a charge. We have the automatic zoom toggle here. This button here is for photos. Plethora of stickers on the side. Little reset button. Under here is your USB, headphones, micro MV. This is actually a FireWire port. And the other plug over here. This USB port unfortunately is non-functional. It's rather loose, and when you plug a USB cable in, none of my computers would recognize it, so I think that port is shot. Luckily this port is still good, so I'll be transferring video using this port, FireWire. On the bottom we have the memory card slot here for taking pictures, and here is the battery, which is toast for lithium F. Tripod mount, and that's about it for the bottom. Oh, and this is the focus adjustment for the little tiny viewfinder here. This is not movable, by the way. This is fixed where it is. So when you try and look through it, you kind of shove your nose into this thing. If you look through your left eye. A little LCD that pops up. And then you can spin it around, see it from the front, or it's that way. You can also fold it back down and view it from the back as well. On the front, you have our lens. This is I think this is where all the communication happens. I think this is, first of all, it's the night shot, infrared LEDs. I believe this is also the sensor for the infrared remote control, and it also has a little indicator here for Bluetooth as well. This up here is a flash that pops open if you want to flash for your pictures. Or maybe this is the infrared receiver for the remote control. Not quite sure. It's probably in the manual if you want to read through the whole thing. If I mentioned, there's our record button there. Here is the flash button for the camera. So let's open this up. Here's our power switch. You pull it down for on, and then you pull it down multiple times to change between camera, memory, and VCR. And here is our open eject switch. So when you pull this, side of the camera opens, and a little tape tray pops out. So, let's see if we can get a shot down in here. Inside, down inside there, you can see the video head. It's a pretty small head, which makes sense because you have pretty small tapes. Kind of hard to see it. The little tiny mechanism. This is the part that I find interesting, the actual little tiny VCR part. Take a look at the tape before we put it in there. There's a label on the back. There's the tape. We can open this up. It's quite a small tape. They have pretty small labels. I'll show how much information you can write on them, including the little teeny tiny stickers, which are, both of them are smaller than the size of my thumb. So you have to use a pretty small pencil to write on them. If you record a lot on one tape. Here's the tape. Looks just like a regular, I mean, from the outside it looks kind of like a regular, VHS tape, except for this metal piece. See little tape wheels in there, aside from it being so small. It even has the same little latchy thing here on the side. So this little latch here, if you pull that, you push it in. If you push it in, yeah, then you can open up, and this whole metal thing slides back over the wheels, and you can see the little tiny tape there. I think this is the same size used in microcassette. I'm not 100% sure on that. It's definitely a different kind of tape. You can see how shiny it is. It's almost silver looking. The camera isn't really picking that up too well. When you look at it, it looks pretty silver. Where's that back up? There's the little lock mechanism so you can't turn the wheels, although I'm not sure how you'd even grip them, to be honest. On the back, you have a little write protect latch, so you can prevent your tapes from being recorded over. And that's about it for the tape. Nothing outstanding about it other than its very small size. It says micro MV on the top there. If I hold it right side up, it does. So I'll put this in and let you see if I can get a good place to view the loading process. It's kind of dark. That's not too bad. So your out's pretty far around the head, though it's hard to see just quite how far. Close this up and turn it on. So I turn it on first, it goes into camera mode. See a little focus. Yeah, you can see the little viewfinder there, color viewfinder. But we have an LCD, so let's use that instead. If I turn it the right way around, see through the LCD, see if the zoom ring is set up. So yeah, see as I turn the ring on the front, I can adjust the zoom. Or if I set the zoom and then throw this switch on the side here, now the ring adjusts my focus. See, it tells me on the bottom what my focal length is. Kind of a cool feature. Go back to the front and I have my zoom again. And while it's in that mode, I believe you can also use the, you can still use the zoom toggle on the top there. I think if I push this button, my flash should come out. No. Why no? Oh, no memory stick maybe. Not sure. I had it popped out before. There it goes. Little flash. The light went out now. There's a light on it. I'm not quite sure if that tells you it's too bright to use the flash. It is pretty bright in here. Oh well. Doesn't seem to do anything, but it does have a flash. Guess you'll have to read the book. So if we throw this switch again, it goes into memory stick or network mode. Tells me my clock's not set. See, it says network down there. As if I push that. Ooh. This isn't going to do anything though because I don't have the Bluetooth modem set up, but so you get in there to do your mail or go online. As if you want to have an online album there. See, no memory stick. If we throw this again, now we're in VCR mode. If we want, we can play our tape. That was just me making a test recording. See a tech support hog hiding in our house there. So, I think that's about it. I'm not sure if I mentioned the micro MV format records at 12 megabits per second, I believe. MPEG-2 transport stream. And that's about it for the overview of this thing. The next clip in this video will be recorded on this camera. So the footage you are now watching is being recorded on the DCR IP220 micro MV format. And in this bag is the next camera we will take a look at. Before we do that though, I wanted to mention that the DCR IP220 claims a 2.11 megapixel image sensor. But if you take a look at the manual on the back on the specifications, see if I can show it here. Image device. Yeah. It only uses about 1.08 megapixels for video, the effective moving picture image sensor. So, just thought I'd mention that. We'll get on to our next camera. Which is the DCR PC5. I can hold it. It's kind of awkward for me shooting with this because the DCR IP220 has such a narrow angle lens. I mean, it's about, I'd say at least 2.5 to 3 feet away from this bag here, and it looks like you're right up on it. So I have to, the camera's pretty far away from what I'm shooting, which I'm not used to shooting that way. Anyway, here is the manual for the DCR PC5. Take a look at what else we've got in here. Got the camera itself, much narrower than the DCR IP220. Got firewire cable. Got power supply cable. this one doesn't have an actual power supply plug on it. It just has this that clips on in place of the battery for DC power supply. Got our mini DV tape, a little puffer for clearing the lens, DC power supply, a USB cable, which actually does not go with this camera, and this cable I'm pretty sure does not go with this camera. Not sure what that's from. Almost looks like it's from a PDA or something. Got another remote and battery. And this battery is actually good. I have charged this and it does hold a charge, at least somewhat. I haven't like tested it out to see how long it would hold a charge for, but I think I had it running for at least an hour and it wasn't showing any signs of dropping out. So, and we also have a UV filter. You can see that. Oops. Focus. I'm used to my other camera where I can just tap on the screen and it focuses on whatever I tap on. But anyway, so this is the DCR PC5. This is from 2001, I believe, and the original price of this I think was around $1,500. Just do a little comparison here. This is the manual for the PC5, and this is the manual for the IP220. So the IP220 is considerably thicker, a lot more features in it. We can just take a look at the specifications for this one. They should be pretty close to the back here, I believe. Here we go. Take a look at the image device there. So yeah, so that's like the effective image sensor size for the PC5 is less than half of the IP220. The total is 0.8 megapixels, which you only actually use about that many for the effective. So let's take a look at plugging this camera in. So this is the power supply. It has this cable goes from power supply here to the outlet. I'll just set that up. And then this guy here plugs in the back of the power supply. That. And then on the side of the camera, this comes off. This is just a little cover covering up the battery holder. And then this can clip on here for DC power. Now for the battery, I'm not sure if you can charge something. So if I actually plug it all the way in, see if I could put the battery on here, see if it'll come up and charge. It says charge. See if the light goes out when I turn the camera on. Yeah. So you can't charge and run the camera at the same time. Anyway, so this is the DCR PC5 2001. Take a look at some of the options we have here on the side. We have our backlight, which must be for the LCD, focus button, display touch panel, night shot on and off, and super night shot down at the bottom. Photo button to take a picture. This also has a memory stick for storing pictures that you take. Have a little reset button right there. Our zoom function. Have an S video output. Down on the back here is where our memory stick goes in. You pull this little lever here. It's our memory stick. It's much longer than the later Memory Stick 2 Pro Duo, whatever they call it. And this thing folds down for your hand strap there. So on the back we have the record button and the power switch. This little lock here, I guess it does so you don't accidentally bump it on. although you still have to push this button down to turn it on, so I'm not going to show why that is. The viewfinder pulls out. It's a battery release. I think I mentioned the memory stick slot. And this has, that's a fold out LCD first of all. Also has off is in the middle, and then VCR and camera. Just toggle this up and down. You can turn it on camera mode. And the LCD will come on. So I'll have my lens cover on. Take that off. This time I have no tape. On the top we've got our ultra wide stereo separation microphones and the DV logo. And then on the front we've got our lens and night shot and infrared sensor there for the remote. And that's about all it has on the outside. On the bottom is where the tape goes in. You pull this and the camera splits open. So the mini DV tape is considerably larger than micro MV. Here's the unopened spare micro MV, and here's the mini DV. It's quite a bit larger. Take a look at the mini DV cassette here. Compare it to the micro MV one. So again, standard cassette case. Cassette looks pretty much the same shape, just much larger size. Have a little window to see the reel there. On the back you have the write protect notch. Slides back and forth. On the bottom, same deal, the lock so that you can't turn the wheels when it's not in the machine. And then on the side, the little lever, and then you can flip. Oops. You can flip that open. It's not like I did to touch the tape. That's why I have the cover on it. Now you can see this is a deep black color tape. I think these are metal evaporated tapes, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Anyway, it's definitely different than the micro MV, which was a bright silvery color. And then inside the cassette case here we have our warranty information. Kind of washing out there. Labels, again, this is all standard. Pretty much the same deal for every different type of cassette. And then labels that are actually big enough to write on. See, these ones are actually about the same size as my thumb this time, unlike the microscopic micro MV ones. So, let's take a look at the mechanism here. See if you can see down in there. You can see the head drum down in there. And the tape guides. Put a tape in and see if we can get a shot of it loading. So you can see down in there. And we just close the side. And we're ready to record. I can just push the record button. See, it's now recording. You can zoom in. If I hold this straight, zoom out. It's kind of awkward the way they have the zoom thing on the side here, because when you put your hand, of course if I fold this down properly, so if you put your hand through here, it's almost like your fingers want to wrap around the top, but then you're covering the microphone. So I'm not quite sure. It's a little awkward. And then your finger has to go all the way to push the zoom thing. But anyway, so I'm going to let it recording there. We'll push stop. Then I can switch this down. Again, kind of hard to push down on that with the way your hand is in here. It's kind of awkward way to hold it. By the way, when you close this, then the viewfinder here is activated. See in there. Can rewind the tape. I'll see something else on this tape. See if we can get back to where I made the recording. There you go, 32 seconds. play the tape. That's the recording I just made. I think that's about all I have to say for this one now. So the next footage you see will be recorded from this camera. Foot-hog hiding in her house. Okay, so the footage you are now watching is being recorded on the DCR PC5 in mini DV format. And let's take a look at our next camera. This is the Sony CCD TR700. You can see that there. This is a high 8 camera. This is from 1994. I believe the original price of this one was $1,800. It's got a few accessories in here. We've got our S-video cable. It's supposed to be in there, but right now it's across the room. The power supply. So the power supply clips on the back of the camera in place of the battery, just like the PC5, except that it's a much larger battery slot. And then that battery adapter plugs into power supply. Like so. Similar to the PC5 power supply. These cameras originally used nickel-cadmium batteries. Happen to have one here. I think the Sony number was NP55, I think was a Sony number, but this is some other knockoff brand, so they have a different number. It's a pretty large battery. You can compare it here to the PC5 battery. So here's the PC5. PC5's battery, info lithium, whatever it is. And here's the TR700's battery. So, we'll take a look at this camera here in a minute. Plugging in the power supply. Okay, so on this side is the tape drive. Under here we have our connectors. What I forgot to mention, the PC5 is has FireWire output only. It does not have a USB connector. The only digital output on that one is FireWire. But I believe it does have an analog video output as well on the PC5. Anyway, this one is fully analog. Have a left and right audio, video, and S-video. A microphone connector. A little plug here, RFU DC out. There. On the top we have our left and right stereo microphones and also a zoom mic. Have our edit search buttons here. Zoom control, eject button, and under this panel are the playback controls. Playing the tape. And we have our fader button there. Not much to see on the front, just the infrared receiver. And under here is the lens. On the side here we've got our power switch and a couple of options here: date, time, counter reset, zero memory, counter time code, index mark, and a little adjustment wheel. And then under here we have some more options for focus and such. This says auto lock, so I'm assuming when you close this door it locks in. Like when you open up and you set these, I'm assuming when you close the door it locks in those settings. That's why it says auto lock. And then steady shot option down at the bottom. I think steady shot was a newer option at the time when this came out. Our color viewfinder, which is the only way to see on this camera. It does not have a LCD display, except for the LCD inside the viewfinder. That's it. And then on the back we have the viewfinder and the battery connector. The strap's in the way. And the standby, lock, standby, and record button. So we'll clip the power supply on this. And then on the side, our little LCD should light up. This is displaying all zeros. So you can turn this on, or turn it on camera mode. Let's see if our viewfinder lit up. It did not. Why did it not light up? Oh, I know why it didn't light up. I always do that to myself. It's in lock, so it doesn't do anything until you turn it on standby, and then the viewfinder lights up. I'm not sure if you can see in there or not, but some of the pixels on the viewfinder are a little messed up. You can see the white spots there. That's only on the viewfinder. I believe that does not appear on the tape. Even when I put a regular tape in here to play back, those spots are still there. So those are spots only on the viewfinder. You can kind of see them there. I'm not quite sure how that happened, unless someone like had this outside in the sun and showing the sun in the viewfinder or something. I'm not quite sure what happened there. Anyway, let's open the tape door. I almost forgot to show our tape. It's a high 8 camera, so we've got a high 8 tape. This is an analog format. So I'm not sure if they even publish like megapixel information on this, because really you're limited by the tape, which is NTSC, and I think high 8 has a horizontal resolution of 400 lines, which is much better than VHS. But again, tape's pretty much standard tape compartment. Opens up regularly. Here's the tape. Again, they have information on the inside, labels on the outside. As far as our stickers go, we have plenty of space to write on these, much more than micro MV anyway. And we've got a bunch of different options we can pick for what kind of tape we made. I wonder who records a soap opera on their Handycam. Anyway, here's the tape. Again, pretty much standard. Got the little lock thing here so you can't turn the wheels. Got the Write Protect on the back, the window in the front, and the little lever here to open up the tape door to see the tape. These are metal particle tapes, I believe. Why it says, if I hold it up right, it says MP there, high 8. So I'll stick this in here. Oh, before we do that, let's take a look at the mechanism. You can see down in there, there's the head drum, much larger than mini DV or micro MV. Tape guides and such. It's going to be hard to show the tape loading because this one doesn't open the same way the other ones do, so you can't really get a good view of the mechanism as it loads. That'll load the tape. And now when we look through the viewfinder, I wonder if this comes off. It should stand up at least. So this stands up, but I wonder if I can take this thing off so you can see the LCD directly. One moment please. Oh, there we go, I've got the lens off so you can kind of see the LCD more directly there. And we have zoom. You can kind of see the spots on it there as well. And I should say high 8. Not sure if you can see at the top there it says high 8 standby. So it detects whether you have a high 8 or a standard 8mm tape in and selects the recording mode accordingly. If we change this over to, on the side here we change this over to VTR mode. So even on the screen there it says high 8 from the top corner. You can see those spots are still there. You can really see them now. So there are definitely spots on the LCD. If I press play in my little door up here, I think I made another test video of tech support hog on this one. Yep. This one doesn't have a speaker, so if you want to listen to sound, you'd have to plug it into your external audio source. Although I'm not sure you'd want to watch anything on the camera anyway. You probably have an external monitor to watch on. You don't want to be holding this and staring through the LCD all the time. But anyway, I think that's about all I have to say for this one. So The next footage you will see will be recorded on this camera. Okay, so the video you are now watching is being recorded on the CCD TR700, and inside this big box is our next camera. So, make sure you can still see that. Yeah, very good. This is the Panasonic OmniMovie VHS PV330. And this one I believe is from 1988. Of course, it records on a VHS tape. I happen to have one here. A Sony 6-hour VHS tape. I'm sure you guys are pretty familiar with VHS tapes, but here's our stickers. Again, same kind of deal as the other ones. You have the tape here. On the bottom, this thing right here is the lock so that the wheels don't turn. When you put it in the machine, it releases that. This here is for the sensor. It has a little light. The other ones did too, by the way. It has a little infrared light that goes in here and then shines out the side of the tape so that it detects when the tape ends. That's why the end of the tape here is clear, so that when it gets to the end of the tape, the infrared light shines through the clear tape and into a sensor, which I think it shines out the side of the cartridge actually. Yeah, if you push in this little tab here, that opens up. Come on. And you can see the tape. It's going to be very hard for me to make sure that this is all in shot since I don't have any sort of LCD. I keep having to reach around and peek through the viewfinder to make sure I'm actually showing what I want to show. And, come on. If you can see it right there, that must be where the LED light shines out for the infrared light rather to detect the end of the tape. And that's about it. On the back here, there's a little Light Protect tab you break off so that you can't record over it. I'll get the camera out here. So this camera came with 2 power supplies for some reason. This one here is the older version. It's a little bit thicker. And I'm not sure if this is the same. I don't think this is the same 14-pin connector that Sony used. I haven't actually counted the pins on it. There you go, that's what plugs into the camera, and that has power and audio video, and then you see the audio video comes out on the side of the power supply here. And this one is basically the same deal, except it's a little bit thinner. And the battery then slides in here, and you have the contacts on the back there. And then this is just a little adapter that you can stick in the back of the camera just to get your audio or video out if you don't want to plug it into the power supply. So you have an audio video cable. And this is the camera itself. Pretty big unit. Designed for mounting on your shoulder. Someone's been in here, they cut the plastic here, I guess to do some sort of repair on the mechanism, and then just taped it back on. So on the back, you have the battery, remote headphones, the power supply AV connector, and then tracking adjustments and edit mode, and then your battery ejector. And on the side is where you have some more controls here. Focus, auto manual, and then you just adjust the zoom or the focus manually, or you can have it adjusted automatically if you want to do that. Let's see where the zoom thing is. The zoom thing is over here on this side along with the record button. We have our microphone, our viewfinder which folds out, and then on this side, which I started to mention and then got distracted. Date time set, counter. I guess that's the, what if DML, I wonder if that's to display the date on the screen, like when you're recording you want to show the date maybe. Not quite sure. I had the book for this, I just didn't read it. And some other controls in this area. Backlight. I wonder if this backlight is actually to like light, to add some light to the image when it's processing. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not quite sure what kind of image processing these do. I can't imagine they do any digital processing, because I don't think they have the electronics for that back in '88 that they could integrate into something like this. And then on the top, we have our power switch, standby mode, and eject. And then this over here is a sliding door. So when you want to record, you have the door slid this way. When you want to play back, you slide it that way, and it automatically switches to VTR mode, and you get your playback controls. So, I think we'll hook this up, and then you see a little bit of it in action. And this is the battery, by the way. Nice big lead acid battery. 12 volts, I think. This is no good at all. Won't even take a charge. Right, so let me plug in one of these power supplies here. So you can still see that. And we'll plug camera in. Okay. So the viewfinder folds out to the side like this, so you can see it when you're sitting on your shoulder. We'll turn this on. See the power light comes on there. See if we have anything on the viewfinder. We do. The cord is caught. See through the viewfinder there. I'll push the eject button. See the tape compartment opens. I'll show it correctly. Not sure if you can see down in there. Down on the bottom is where the VHS head is, and it's much larger than the 8mm one. I think the horizontal resolution of VHS is, I want to say 320 lines or 330, something like that, I think. So it's going to be less resolution than the high 8mm. But I guess that's all I have to say about this. So the next footage you see will be shot on this camera. Yeah, I can put a tape in, but there's not a whole lot to see. If I can actually show this, it's going to be hard to hold the camera in an appropriate position. Put the tape in like that. Oh, now I'm far too close. And we'll just load the tape. Again, not much to see there. But I guess that's about it for that one. So the next footage you see will be shot on that camera. So the footage you are watching is now being recorded on the Panasonic OmniMovie. It's a PV330 on VHS format. And inside this box is our next camera. This is the Betamovie BMC-110 from 1984, and this is the first camcorder. It was the first camera to include the VCR as part of the camera. Now this machine is a Beta machine, you might have guessed from Betamovie, and it is playback only. We have our Beta tape. So L750, I think 750 is the length of the tape. There's the tape itself. It's a nice round window for seeing the used tape, although you can't really see the end of the outside of the reel. The window's kind of small, but anyway. the bottom of it. Again, it has a little lever here for opening the tape door. Push with my finger. There we go. See, there is the tape. Right here is the right check notch. You break that out so you can't record on the tape. And that's about it. I think these have a brake too, but I'm not sure where the release for that is. On the outside of the sticker pamphlet, some directions. And test out my macro over here. Read that. So I'm showing the French one first. Open this up. See our stickers there. That's my favorite one, a little cassette-shaped sticker. Got plenty of space for writing on these stickers. Or letters too. All the options you can check. It does have autofocus, but it won't focus that close. That's why I had to put it back a little. Get out the power supply here. This little drop door here is where the battery goes in. I don't have the battery for this though. This plugs into the camera with a barrel jack. So we'll plug this in. Got some paperwork that came with the camera, the original manual and such. And here is the actual camera. I don't like the way this is not very sturdy when you set it down. This camera will not turn on unless you put a tape in. If I plug the power in here, which plugs in down here, I'm sure you can see that, you can't. Power plugs in here. Also got earphones, remote, microphone input. On the other side we've got our power button here, which won't do anything because I have no tape in. White balance adjustment, and some little indicators for tape, battery, due, and a caution I think is if the tape gets jammed. We have our setting for filter for outside or inside. This just folds over. This is an optical viewfinder, so it just reflects the light. Coming in the lens up through here and out. And this is a tube camera, by the way. Like all the ones that I've shown so far. I'm not sure about the Omni. The Omni might be a tube camera too. It doesn't say CCD on it, but this is a Sony Trinicon tube camera, color tube camera. So I don't think we'll be able to see anything through the viewfinder because it's not gonna. Yeah, you have to be right up on it to see anything. It's a very narrow field of view. On this side, this thing folds down. This is where the battery goes, but also is the handle. So you hold it down like that, and you got your handle as it's on your shoulder. I'll fold it up for now, though, to make this more stable. The eject is down here. Of course, my power supply is off again. So even when I have the power supply on, this still won't turn on unless I put a tape in. So I'll open this up here. It opens. I can try and show you the mechanism, but I don't think you'll be able to see much of it. Yeah, it's too dark. So you can see anything through the window? Not really. Yeah, not going to be able to see anything. in there. It's too covered and too dark. The tape head is under this little tray here. So there's the tape. This is a playback only, record only machine. You can't play back tapes on here or fast forward or rewind or anything. All it does is record. And the reason for that is in order to get the tape drive small enough to fit in this camera, they shrunk the head down, so the tape wraps almost all the way around the head. Normally in the beta machine, I think it's more than 180. I think it's more like, I don't know, I'm not quite sure what the head wrap is normally in a beta machine, but it's not all the way around like this is. And because they wrap the head all the way around, they have to speed up the horizontal frequency so that when it records, because it makes a much longer pass around the tape, that when you play it back on a regular beta machine, it has the correct horizontal frequency. So they speed up the horizontal frequency on here so that when you record on the non-standard head, it plays back at the normal horizontal frequency on a standard head. And that's why you can't have playback on here, because if you try to play back on this, you'd be playing back at the non-standard higher horizontal frequency, and the monitor wouldn't be able to sync to it. So, if I flip this around, you see that now it will turn on. So the lights came on at first, but now they're all out. Everything's good. Power's on. And I guess that's about it for now, for showing this one. There's not a whole lot to it. I mentioned, but there's also 4 little LEDs that light up around the viewfinder to indicate these type of conditions. Since it's just an optical viewfinder. That's about it for this one. So the next tape you see will be recorded on this device. Okay, so the footage you're now watching is being recorded on the Sony Betamovie BMC110. And what you see in front of you is JVC, I can find the model number. It's a camera and VTR, reel-to-reel VTR. It's PD4500 or something like that. This is black and white only, manual focus, manual zoom, manual iris control. This is from 1974, by the way. Open this up here. Actually, first we'll take a look at the outside. The camera out of the way. So on the front we have microphone and earphone connectors, a battery scale, playback controls for rewind, play, fast forward, and a recorder control. On the side here, we have the switch for TV mode or camera mode. So when you switch it to camera mode, then the camera controls the starting and stopping of this unit. When it's in TV mode, the switches on the front, as soon as you move into play mode, it starts playing. And we have the camera connector, the power connector, and the RF output. For some reason this output's on channel 6. Not quite sure why. On the bottom, this is the RF unit in here. I'm assuming this is fixed to a channel, so you would get it whatever channel you want to use it on, you get the RF unit for that channel. This is the battery place in here. Of course there's no battery in it, so I have the battery out. The battery's no good. Something you see on the back of the other side. This is the battery. Nice big lead acid. I think this is 12 volts. Not quite sure. It's lead acid battery. This unit over here is the power supply. And you just plug the battery in there to charge it. Like I said, it's not going to charge. Plug the power in here. Open it up. Lid comes off. You see on the lid it has gradients for how far along the tape you are. Assuming that's 1 hour, so it's probably 1 hour tape, so 1 hour left, half hour left, and you're out of tape. wheel here, take-up wheel here. This is the nice large head drum and the controller. Alright, so take a look at the camera here. There's a 10-pin camera connector, similar for the time. On the bottom we have focus adjustment for the CRT viewfinder and also the Vidicon camera tube. Have our trigger for starting and stopping playback, or record rather, or record and playback. On the front we have the iris adjustment, the zoom adjustment, and the focus adjustment. Also on the front we have the microphone. And on the back we have the viewfinder. And that's about all there is to this. And plug it in here. Okay, and we'll thread the tape through. Goes this way. I think this is the erase sound back here. Actually, let's go out this way. This is the tension on here. Over here, this down here is the cutoff switch. So when the tape gets too slack or when the tape runs out, it shuts the machine off. Wrap it up on this take-up wheel. Not too much now. So, if I switch this to camera mode, I'll turn it on, and if I go to record and play, see, it doesn't do anything, so I think the camera should come up. Yes, the camera has come up. I'm not quite sure how much of that we're going to be able to see there to adjust the Oculus. See anything yet? Let me adjust it out here. I can see what I'm doing. Right. You can see in there, so there you can kind of see it. I'm trying to capture on one camera the viewfinder of another camera. It's very faint, but if I squeeze the trigger, we are now recording. Well, we were recording. What happened to it? This wheel is getting stuck, I think. There it goes. Working before. Is this on the wrong side of the stopper here? That must be the problem. Let's try again. There we go. this is the brake lever for this reel. So without what the tape was doing was the tape was tensioning against this, pulling the brake on, and it's supposed to be on the other side, pulling the brake off. That looks better. Just the iris a little more, a little bit clearer. Yeah, it's not going to show up too well in there. I've opened the iris a little bit more yet. See if it shows up any better. Yeah, you can kind of see it. And you want to have the iris open as little as possible to get a viewable image. You don't want to get too much light on the tube and damage it. And in fact, they recommend that when you store this camera, you store it with the iris closed all the way so you don't get errant light shining in the tube all the time. But as you can see, it is now recording. Let's use the trigger again. Stop recording. Now if I stop this and I want to rewind, rewind's a little bit sticky. We'll rewind the tape a little bit. Now if I go to play, see I have a still image that I recorded on the screen. Well, this thing's kind of going out now. I did have a still image for a minute, but if I squeeze the trigger, I should play the tape. Maybe. Yeah, you can kind of see it. There we go. So that was what I just recorded there. I have little dropouts there, it seems. But you can see that does record, and it's playing back what I just recorded here a few minutes ago. So, it's a pretty cool unit. That's about all I have to say about it, I guess. So the next footage you see will be recorded on this camera. Alright, so we're now recording on the JVC. It's a PV4500 or something like that. And I figured I'd take this opportunity to compare all the tape formats we've seen today. And by the way, that is zoomed out all the way. It's a very narrow angle lens. So first we've got micro MV. Still see that? I can go over a little bit. Make sure everything stays in shot here. Mini DV. $8mm. High 8 actually. VHS. Beta. And of course, reel to reel. I can take each of these out of their little cases, put them side by side. So both VHS and Beta use half-inch tape. Also the reel-to-reel is also half-inch. But you notice that the reel is much larger on reel-to-reel than it is on either VHS or Beta. I think this is 7.5 inches per second that machine is running at. I'm not 100% sure on that. It could be 15, but I think it's 7.5. Not quite sure. Anyway, this beta tape here is, you can read that. Can I focus that close? My hand's in the way. So about as good as it's gonna get. I can't read that through the viewfinder. For beta 2, which is what the beta movie records at beta 2, this tape is 3 hours. And beta 1 is 1 hour 30 minutes. So this tape, even at the highest beta speed, is 1 hour 30 minutes, versus this tape, which I believe is 1 hour total. And this is 120 minutes, so 2 hours. This is 60 minutes, so 1 hour, 1 hour. This tip I think is 6 hours, but I think that's at the lower speed. Actually, I can check. SP mode is 2 hours, EP mode is 6 hours. So this is 2 hours for normal speed. So you've got 1 hour, 1 hour 30 minutes, 2 hours, 2 hours, 1 hour, and 1 hour. Just for drastic comparison there. The center hub for the reel-to-reel is almost bigger than the micro MV. And that was out of focus the whole time. Let's try again. That looks better. Alright, so I guess that's about it for now. All of our different tape formats there. I like playing with these old cameras. I think it's pretty cool to play around with them. Hope you enjoyed playing around with them with me. Hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching.